everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Crime. It's officially December, and I plan to upload every other day this month. Just because I'm not really able to do Vlogmas this year, I still wanted to put up as many true crime episodes as I can in 1 month. So to stay up to date on that, please subscribe and turn on your notifications so that way you never miss out on a new video. Since we are in the Christmas month, I wanted to try to cover as many Christmas cases as possible. With that being said, today we will be discussing the truly tragic Christmas massacre case. 80-year-old Joseph Ortega and his wife, 70-year-old Alicia Ortega, had been together for 53 years. They lived in Covina, California, which was pretty close to LA. They absolutely loved Christmas. It was their favorite time of the year, to say the least. On Christmas Eve 2008, they invited their 5 adult children, James, Charles, Leticia, Alicia, and Sylvia, and their families to the house to celebrate and spend some time together, as we all do. There ended up being around 30 people there, and they had a good dinner together and were just catching up, having a wonderful time around the Christmas tree. And then after dinner, the Ortegas decided to play a game of Texas Hold'em in the dining room, while the kids and grandkids were all hanging out outside in the backyard or upstairs playing video games. And as it was getting later, the adults were just all hanging out trying to wrap up the night, while all of a sudden there was a knock at the door. 8-year-old Katrina, the daughter of Leticia, just ran to the door with excitement to see who may be there, when she was greeted by a man in a Santa costume holding a gift. Now, of course, since it's Christmas Eve, they were having a celebration. As a small child, she got pretty excited and started saying, "It's Santa Claus," when out of nowhere, the man in the costume just shoots her in the face. And it turned out that inside the package that he was holding, there was a flamethrower, and the man had planned to burn the whole house down. He also had a semi-automatic rifle in the other hand and some other additional handguns on him. As soon as the first shot started to fire, most of the adults picked up their children and started running. Some of the family members attempted to hide under the table to try to avoid getting shot, but that was no use because the man already started shooting up the whole house. James Ortega was the second person to be shot after the little girl got shot in the face, and as he was being shot, his brother Charles recognized the gunman and started saying, "It's Bruce," and then ended up getting shot himself as well. But despite James and Charles both being shot, they did try to get up and fight for their life. However, they were unable to. So then Joseph and Alicia, the head of the house, and their other 2 daughters ended up being shot and killed as well. The only daughter who survived was Leticia, the mother of 8-year-old Katrina, the one that got shot in the first place. After the man was done shooting, he unwrapped the gift that he brought, which ended up being a flamethrower. His plan was to basically set fire to this whole house. And so since there was so much ruckus going on at night, the neighbors had heard gunshots and other sounds, so they did end up calling authorities. And the only daughter who survived, Leticia, also called 911, and she was just absolutely hysterical.
Hello?
Hi.
Please come immediately.
Who's in your house?
Immediately.
Ma'am, is the guy in your house right now?
We're having 2 houses down on the cul-de-sac.
Okay. Ma'am, hold on. Is he at your house?
Yes, he's got the shooting.
The fire was huge. It took tons of firefighters and multiple hours to finally put it out. Fortunately though, most of the children were able to escape, and authorities believe that that is because they were in the back of the house or upstairs or elsewhere during all of this. 3 people were wounded though, including 8-year-old Katrina, who got shot in the face. Luckily, the bullet only hit her cheek and jaw. She did need surgery and ultimately had a full recovery. Another child was wounded by being shot in the back. Then another one broke their ankle as they were trying to jump out of a window. Sadly, 9 people did pass away, and because of the fire, they were only able to identify them by using dental or medical records. When the authorities arrived, they immediately started questioning the survivors, trying to get the full story on what had happened. Who and why would someone do such a thing? They were asking the survivors if you recognize the shooter, and most of them said that they actually did recognize him. Leticia said that she was sure it was her sister Sylvia's ex-husband Bruce. So police immediately went hunting for Bruce. Meanwhile, 40 miles away in Selma, police had gotten a call from a man named Brad Pardo. He said that he got home from a Christmas party and he found his brother Bruce lying dead in a pool of blood. He was found with a 9mm gun in his hand and had actually taken his own life by placing it in his mouth, and need I say more? He shot himself. Authorities believe that it wasn't really Bruce's plan to commit suicide in the first place, but due to the severe burns he got during the fire, he probably thought he couldn't live like this moving forward. So then he, I guess, decided to take his own life. The reason they assumed his initial plan wasn't to take his own life is because he was found with $17,000 attached to his leg, like he was trying to flee somewhere after he committed all these murders. A toxicology report did state that they found cocaine in his system, which was probably used to amp him up and get him ready to go commit the massacre. Based on all the guns and ammo, everything found in his home suggested that this was a pre-planned massacre. He'd probably been planning this for months. Now let's talk a little bit about Bruce and what motive did he have to commit such a horrendous massacre. Bruce Pardo was born on March 23, 1963 in Los Angeles, California. He attended California State University in Northbridge, and after this he got a job as an electrical engineer at ITT. And then in 2004 he met Sylvia Ortega and they got married 2 years later in 2006. And their future seemed super bright. They had a beautiful home, they lived in a beautiful place. He was making good money, she was also bringing in money as well. They had a daughter together, she was really close to Bruce. And then Sylvia had 2 other children from a previous marriage. In 2007, everything just seemed to go downhill for Bruce. They weren't really sleeping in the same room anymore. Sylvia just went to spend the weekends with her parents or friends just to get away from him as much as she could. So then eventually she filed for divorce for a few reasons, as you can imagine. Turns out Bruce just wasn't a great guy. Bruce apparently refused to open a shared bank account with Sylvia, and then the most frustrating part is he also refused to take any part in being a dad to the children that Sylvia had from her previous marriage. He didn't want any of his money to go towards her children. It was quite hypocritical. He kept saying that he came to the marriage without any children himself and it's not fair that he has to take care of her children, when, get this, Sylvia actually found out that Bruce actually did have a child that she didn't know about. He had a son with his previous wife. I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal that he has a son. It was the fact that he lied to her for so long, that he came into this marriage without any children, and he kind of shunned on her 2 children that she had, wanting no part in their life because they were someone else's children. You get the point. He was just being a little bitch. There's also some very suspicious information about him and the previous wife he had before Sylvia, and his son, the way they were treated. All of that was just mind-boggling. He was just such a shitty human being. And get this, Bruce's mother is actually the one who told Sylvia about Bruce and his past troubles. So that is why she filed for divorce and for spousal support. Sylvia claimed that Bruce took almost all of their savings, and so ultimately Sylvia was rewarded these payments back. However, a month later, Bruce lost his job at ITT for writing down false hours, and he was soon drowning in debt trying to find a new job. He ended up complaining to a court filing that he had a ton of monthly expenses. So because he wasn't making any income or receiving any unemployment benefits, the courts ended up lowering his payments to Sylvia. And then when the case settled 1 week before the massacre, they awarded the house to Bruce, and he was ordered to pay her a $10,000 payment. He had to give her back the diamond wedding ring he got her, and she was also awarded the family dog. All this made Bruce super angry. He said although she got awarded all of these things back to her, she didn't really have that many expenses. She was living in her parents' house, she wasn't really paying rent, she was always buying luxury things. He was really annoyed about this because as he was drowning in debt and most of his things were taken away from him through this divorce proceedings, she got to go live this free, luxurious lifestyle. It's believed that because of his financial struggles and everything that went on with the divorce, that is why he decided to carry on with this family massacre. And so that is all the information I have on this case. I know it's quite a short one. Please comment your thoughts below. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to sit down and watch another one of my true crime videos, and I cannot wait to see you in my next one. Bye.